What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, CM Drake, one half of the Wise Guys Sports Talk family. Um, for those that are new to the channel, welcome. For those that have been kind of following the channel, I'm glad to see you back. I have a surprise for everybody. Today, week 8, I'm introducing the new revamped look for the channel. I did a little bit of kind of rebranding. I'm all about evolving uh, my content. Trying to stay fresh, trying to bring new ideas to the table. So again, for those that are watching this episode, you're gonna get a taste of the new and improved um, Wise Guys Sports Talk network featuring this channel, which is called um, Fantasy Forecast. Okay, you guys gonna get a look at the new intro plus the content that I'm using moving forward for the rest of the season. I hope you enjoy it. Roll it. Okay, so we're back again. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast, where um, I'm going to still do my 6 picks. Now, 5 of those will be skilled players. The third will be a defense. Because I've said this before, defense are very important. They can yield just as much points as any one skill position player. Okay. Um, I will not be using the DraftKings interface moving forward. So again, got a new presentation for my picks. Obviously, if you like the content, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the new look of the channel. Let me know what you think of the content. I love feedback. You leave a comment, we can start a discussion. Obviously keep it positive. So here we go. So the first pick I'm going to talk about is going to be Deshaun Watson, QB for the Houston Texans. That's going to be the quarterback. Here's some information I gathered on his matchup this week against the Raiders. So on DraftKings, his price is set at 7,100. Still relatively high, but he's produced quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. Um, let's see his opponent ranking 24th versus QBs, which is pretty good. And as a quarterback, he's ranked number 1 in QB rushing for TDs at 5. So the fact that the Raiders allow quite a bit of yards on the ground as well as points allowed when they play away, it's a pretty good matchup for Deshaun Watson. Obviously, you got to keep track of the injury report. For my running back 1, I will be going with Todd Gurley. He hasn't had the most productive year so far, but when he's healthy and he plays, he does pretty well. For Todd Gurley, his DraftKings price still probably among some of the higher for running backs, but against opposition ranking 31st versus running backs. Um, they do play the Bengals this week. The opposition has allowed 3 straight contests of over 200 yards on the ground. They tend to average about 145.5 rushing yards allowed per game. And again, we're talking about the Bengals. And, at least 3 scores you can almost count on with playing the Bengals. Um, Obviously, the Rams have all the offensive power to double that number. So I'm curious what the line would be on this game, the under over. But just as a kind of gauge where you know pro gamblers are anticipating what kind of scoring outcome this should have. But, again, if the Bengals are allowed at least three scores a contest, you know, I would say the Rams, you could probably put them down for probably more than that. RB2 for me this week would be Austin Eckler, running back for the Chargers. Even though Melvin Gordon is at least back on the roster, Austin Eckler has been extremely efficient on offense. So on DraftKings, he is only at 5,900, which is interesting because he had a really good outing last week, but he's actually $300 less this week on DraftKings. It could be more of a matchup thing. Maybe they don't anticipate him to do as well, but any given Sunday, anything can happen. Um, as far as running backs go, he's actually number one when it comes to receiving or receptions. And you know, performance wise, he averages in the mid 20s on fantasy points per game anyway. Opposition wise, 26 versus running backs. So, I mean, it looks pretty good for Austin Eckler. I really do hope, with the price, he allows you a lot of wiggle room down the stretch. But I'm loving this 5,900 price on DraftKings. Now, here's a gamble. Chris Godwin, okay, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Um, they're going through a rough patch right now with Winston, all the doubts concerning him, and whether or not this is a seemingly a you know uh, audition tape for another team, but the man's still throwing the ball, and Chris Godwin is getting way more looks than Evans. Let's take a look at some information concerning Chris Godwin for this week. DraftKings prices 7,100. Kind of up in the pricing, but for good reason. He's been extremely efficient on offense. Three straight contests going over 100 receiving yards, as well as over 25 fantasy points per contest. His averages 26.2 fantasy points per game. He does have the ability to throw up a stinker, but with the matchup that they have this week, you might as well just ride with him. If you're feeling froggy, rotate him out with Evans, but you can't not go with a guy like Chris Godwin, pretty much ranked second in receiving yards per game this year, only trailing behind Michael Thomas. And you know how much upside Michael Thomas has, and he's tied first for wide receiver touchdowns with uh, Adam Thielen, who you guys know is injured at the moment. So he may be riding, that number by himself after Sunday's contest. So Chris Godwin, very viable option, even with the somewhat higher price tag, but pretty much worth every penny. Okay, let's go to the other side to San Fran. We got George Kittle. That's the tight end I'm rolling with. I have since kind of falling off the Mark Andrews hype train. So we're going to go with um, somewhat challenging option this week. But if I had to kind of, want to take a gamble, okay, on someone that's due for a good game, it would be George Kittle. George Kittle's DraftKings priced at 6,500 for this contest. Tied sixth in reception tight ends, tied fifth with targets for tight ends. Um, they're playing a Carolina team that actually, on paper, plays better when they go away, when they travel. So I look for him to be a very, very high check down option for Garoppolo. Garoppolo at least has sense enough to try to get the ball out of his hand as soon as he can. So again, George Kittle, high check down option, and it's a home game. They've actually had more away games and home games this year. He's due for a big game, being that it's a home game for him. For the defense this week, I will be going with the Los Angeles Rams with the matchup against Cincinnati. The defense has been on. They're playing a very banged up Cincinnati Bengals team. Now, pretty much the best player on that Cincinnati Bengals team is Joe Mixon, and the fact is, Cincinnati lacks a passing game. So, with the stats gathered from the Rams, uh, they pretty much stuffed the run. So DraftKings price being 3,800, they're not the most expensive, but opposition ranking being 29th versus the defense. So that they're talking about the red rifle. They should have a home field advantage. And like I said, the average rushing yards allowed per game is under 100. And if that is the biggest playmaker Cincinnati has is the ground game, they either going to have to be doing some short passes or they have to do something because to go between the tackles against the Rams probably not going to get you very far. Okay, so if you've been following thus far, this is what your DraftKings board should looks like. You got Deshaun Watson, quarterback, Todd Gurley as your running back option, Austin Eckler as another running back option. Feel free to put one of them as a flex if you need to rotate out a lesser running back. Godwin as a primary receiver. Look at some options to possibly stack with Deshaun Watson. That's always a good play. Tight end George Kittle and the Los Angeles Rams for my defense. It doesn't lend a lot of room for some other studs. We got three that are over 7K. Um, but this would be my main lineup to go with for this week's Millionaire Maker tournament on DraftKings. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like the video if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification to get updates when I do post more of the videos for the rest of the regular season. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the new look for the channel, the new direction I'm going with. Um, you know, I will apologize in advance. Some of the videos that I got was a little out of focus. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to get some pretty sharp video of guys that are like running literally as fast as they possibly can. But I'm gonna work on that aspect. But this is again a taste of the direction I want to go with this channel. So I only look to improve from this point on. So you know, again, thank you for watching the video. Good luck this Sunday um, on the Millionaire Maker tournament. Peace.